Happy Monday, 49er faithful. There's a lot that went down over the weekend. We got to hear from Brock Purdy for the first time. He threw an amazing camp, had the opportunity to kind of basically shadow Brock throughout the whole camp. Got to talk to Brock, kind of check the mindset as we get ready to head into the next season. Also, we got Brandon Aiyuk stuff going that's really started last Friday. More things going on throughout the weekend. We've got John Lynch, Chris Forster checking out potential draft prospects. We got a lot of stuff to get into from this weekend. So let's talk about it all right now. But first, before we do that, drop an SDS in the chat. Shout out to are now one step closer away from the NFL draft. Let's go. All right, what is going down, sourdough squad? Hopefully, you guys had a phenomenal weekend getting ready for the NFL draft that is right around the corner. Like you can tell, the draft fever is starting to pick up with the draft being in 2 weeks from now. So we got draft content to talk about. Of course, the non-stop news cycle surrounding the San Francisco 49ers feels like it's never ending. Obviously, today, one of the big topics was Brandon Aiyuk. And from the looks of it, with all the things that have been going down with BA, it does appear that Brandon Aiyuk was on his way for the first day of voluntary workouts at the 49ers facility. And I would also have to imagine that Brandon Aiyuk was there as well. Um, or excuse me, not Brandon Aiyuk, Brock Purdy, because we just saw Brock Purdy yesterday as well at Levi's Stadium doing all that kind of fun stuff with campers. I mean, first of all, that camp with Brock Purdy was crazy. The turnout was absolutely phenomenal. Um, you talk about 600, 700 kids just so hyped to see Brock Purdy. It really was an absolutely phenomenal turnout. And it just goes to show just like how much Brock Purdy really means to his community. Means I picked up on this whole situation with Brock and kind of the younger up and coming fans um, back last summer, heading into training camp. Um, I told the story before, so I have younger kids, and we took them to go see Dude Perfect. If you're not familiar with Dude Perfect, they're trick shot guys, and they literally they sold out the SAP Center where the Sharks play, and they do this whole thing where they're like shouting out the athletes of the Bay, Steph Curry, Clay Thompson, all those different types of things. And again, reminder, this was in the summer after Brock Purdy's rookie season. So this was a couple months after he tore his UCL, and we are heading towards training camp. Well, one of the segments came up where they transitioned the 49ers players, And mind you, Dude Perfect's demographic are kids this age who went to Brock Purdy's camp. And they're like, let's get a shout out for 49ers starting quarterback Trey Lance. And it was almost kind of awkward because no one really shouted. Because again, you have to think about it. They're speaking to kids. Kids aren't like diehard 49ers fans. They've seen what they've seen recently. And up until that point, they had seen Brock Purdy go undefeated all the way through to the NFC Championship game before he got hurt. So they called out Trey's name. No one said anything. It was like, oh, that's kind of awkward. And then he came back about 5-10 minutes later. It's like, all right, let's try this again. Let's get a shout out for 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. And the whole place erupted. All the kids were going crazy. And again, it just kind of at that moment like spoke to me, of like the type of impact Purdy has had on the younger generation already as a rookie. Um, and then when you look at what he was able to put on with this camp, I mean, so many people showed out for it. It was a pretty cool event. He did signings, he did photos, signed, footballs, these pictures. He did a VIP meet and greet where he got to meet with all the young fans. I mean, dude, some of these kids were hilarious. There were some kids saying some of the most outlandish things to Brock Purdy at this event, but nonetheless, still was a blast to be able to cover it and just kind of again just see how Brock has really like brought an excitement to the younger generation of fans. Like, everyone in here, we got wide ranges of age, but it's really cool to be able to see all these kids so hyped up for Brock Purdy. And it really kind of puts our fan base in a really cool spot to give them something to be excited about. And a guy like Brock, who represents the franchise so well. I mean, it was super fun just being able to shadow him. Like when he came out for this, I was in the tunnel. We did the tunnel shot. He started running. I was destroyed right off the bat. You really got a good idea of that burst that Brock Purdy brings to the table. He just started running into the crowds of kids. Kids absolutely mobbed him. But they were so hyped to see him. And then basically the rest of the day, I just shadowed Purdy and we got all kinds of shots. Brock was just engaging with all of the campers. I mean, they were loving it. And you had to bring your best effort on this tackling bag. Later, as it kind of progressed, he started trying to juke all the kids out. It was pretty funny to watch, but Brock is a man of the people, dude. Like he is a guy that you could just feel the energy, feel the vibe. And you could see the turnout, man. The kids showed up to come see quarterback one, Brock Purdy. It was a great event. Showed out. Imagine being a kid and you're catching passes from, one of the guys that you look up to, and just imagine like how these moments right here are going to solidify these fans for a lifetime, and like how that will continue to pass on to generation to generation. It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool to see Brock out here showing love for the kids, vibing, having a good time, throwing passes. Gotta love it. This one was pretty fun. They were doing like a contest to see who could hit it into the bucket, and Brock smashed it on the first go around. and the kids were so hyped off it. It was hilarious. But man, it's just y- we've seen it from afar, right? Like when we see Brock talking in the media, whether it's after a game, practice, whatever, you just get the sense like Brock is the same guy, like no matter what, where like that he is, man. He's just the same dude, just down to earth. You could see all the kids trying to get him, and it was really fun, bro. It was really fun. Just kind of shadowed him for literally like 4 hours on Sunday, and dude's just a vibe, man. And you guys already know. Oh, I got to talk to Brock Purdy too. That was pretty cool. But I already posted that, so I'm not gonna let you make you sit through that again. Um, but I just came away with just like, yeah, we got our guy, man. Like we already know this. Like, and again, especially if you've been following the channel for a long time, like we have absolutely um been on the Brock Purdy hype the second he came in against the Miami Dolphins. Like it showed up on tape right away. I remember doing that film breakdown. It will forever to this day be my favorite film breakdown because you could see when he got thrown to the Wolves against the Miami Dolphins and they threw zero blitz after zero blitz, six, seven, eight of them. And they were scheming up free rushers, man. Brock overcame it. And that's just really where it started. I'm not going to pretend like I was on Brock in training camp or anything like that. But when he came in and you saw what he did on tape against the Miami Dolphins, it was phenomenal. And all he's done since then is just build on top of it. And so, what I think's really cool for Brock in getting to talk to him is he finally gets a break. I think that's one of the biggest keys for him this off season is he gets a break from football because Brock has been going nonstop, right? He has been going nonstop since he tore his UCL against the Eagles. He had to go straight into like rehabbing to try to get the swelling down. Then he went straight into surgery. Then he went straight into rehab and then grinded his tail off to get ready for training camp. And then he got ready by training camp and then it was full steam ahead. So for him to be able to take some time off, go get married, go on his honeymoon, go step away from football, I think that's the best thing that could have happened for Brock. Just considering everything, the Super Bowl lot, all of it, just step away, refresh, get the mind right, get the soul right, and then come back. I'm excited for what Brock is going to do next year. I think Brock is going to have an even better season next year. And of course, as long as we can get all of Brock's weapons back, it would be even better, right? And that's kind of where the next segue into one of the big topics of the day, um, of the year, of the week, of the off season was again Brandon Aiyuk. I really don't know if there's much else that needs to be said about Brandon Aiyuk. It does look like Brandon Aiyuk showed up today to voluntary workouts, which is a great sign. We had him unfollow the 49ers on Friday. On Sunday morning, we had some random post that it's official. Brandon Aiyuk has requested a trade. And then not too long after, his agent said, "Not so fast there, buckaroo." we ain't trading BA. At least no official request has been made. I do think it's important to remember that anything can happen. This is the NFL. We've seen twists and turns every step of the way. So I do believe BA will be here. We know what the cadence is. We just got to get through the draft. We get through the draft. BA on the roster, run it back. That's all we got to know. And it's just, we got to wait. We got to let them do their negotiating, which is like pulling teeth. It was funny, dude. I think I did the same rant last year. Like, I've gone like back and forth with my thoughts on Parag Marathe, I believe he's president of football operations, just in the sense of like I appreciate what Parag has done. He signed Trent Williams to the highest deal for a left tackle in the NFL at the time, keeping him away from the Chiefs. Like, I appreciate that. I appreciate the way he finds ways to trigger incentive or trigger, converting signing bonus or converting salary into signing bonus to be able to reduce cap hits, doling out money for Fred Warner, George Kittle. The list goes on and on. But it is a painful process. Like, let's be honest. From the outside looking in, I can't speak at all for what is going on in between those doors or behind closed doors at 49-49. But I can speak from the outside. I can speak for someone who's dealing consistently with fans nonstop for years now. And I would say, like, hey, if the 49ers ever need a true judge of how their fans are feeling, feel free to hit me up because I hear from them so often, whether in our live chats, whether in my comments on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, like you name it, DMs. Like, I feel like I have a very good sense of how this fan base feels from any given moment, to the point where I can project certain things. I can project how the fan base is going to react. I can project how things are going to be perceived. And with this whole BA thing, we just project that it's going to be like pulling teeth. So what we have to find patience in is kind of how things have played out in the past. So the hope is we get through the draft and BA still on the roster. If that's the case, BA is going to be a Niner. And again, I truthfully believe they both want this to happen. And hey, what's good, Charlene? Good to see you. She said, SDS, I've missed y'all. My new job means I miss most of the lives. We got to get the boss in order. We got to get the boss in order. But I think ultimately what it comes down to is nothing is necessarily new. BA told us already. He said, as long as we can come to a professional agreement, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. We meet in a fair, reasonable place. We get it done. We move on. He's a Niner. But he also said, if that doesn't happen, then he will go somewhere else. And I think that is fair. I really think that's fair because you would feel the same way if you were in a position where you had options. You are highly sought after. Like, let's say you're highly recruited. Your LinkedIn was popping with recruiters trying to pull you away. And you liked where you're at, but you know that you deserve a raise and a well earned raise at that. And you got recruiters knocking at your door saying, we will give you said raise. It doesn't matter how much, you know, loyalty that you have to this company, to this business, to these bosses that you have. If you don't feel valued, you are going to go somewhere where you feel valued. So that's why I don't love a lot of the fan narratives around players who are trying to get what they deserve, because you would do the same in the same situation. But for you, the reason why I think the reason why fans have such a hard time with this conversation is because it's our hobby. Like, we, it can be a hobby. It can be a part of our families, the way families come together for games on Sundays, or like camps like we just had with Brock. Like, the team is intertwined into the community, those types of things. We want to see the team win. We want to see success. We want to be a part of that success. We don't want to be a part of contract negotiations. We don't want to be a part of these kinds of backs. And I'm speaking it for the fans, like the average fan. The average fan, I don't think, wants to know how the sausage is made, if that makes sense. Um, they just want to, they just want to see it get done. Like, they don't, they don't want to see the posturing. They don't want to see the leverage plays. They don't want to see it drag out. Right? No one does. But I think that's where some of the anger stems from, of when people are like, "Oh, I'm done with this guy." And it's just like, let's relax a little bit. Let's let this play out. We understand what the goal is. The goal is to get BA paid, and we should all want that. We should all want BA to get paid. We should all want him to get what he deserves, because that ultimately, in the end, is going to help the 49ers push for their ultimate goal, which is winning a Super Bowl. And I believe BA needs to be a part of that. So, and we just got to wait and see. Just got to wait and see. Let it play out. They're going to do what they do. Parag is going to grind them down. But what we've seen in the end is, hey, if you can withstand Parag, he rewards you for it. Again, I have no idea. I'm not in those meetings. I'm not on those calls. I can't speak from a firsthand experience. But hey, you know the vibes. Let's get it done. Let's move on. Let's get him paid. Appreciate the super chat throwback. He says, let's go. Brock Purdy's goal is to get better. 100%. That should be everyone's goal, is to get better. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And so you constantly got to be working. What's up, stepson? I agree, man. We should all be rooting for BA to get paid, man. Like, that's the thing. It's like, that's the whole notion behind the pay George Kittle movement. Like, we're fans. We should be fans of the team and the players at the same time. And we should understand that a part of this game is getting them paid. We'll want to be a part of that. We want to support our guys. We want to support our players. We want to support our team. We want to support our logo. We also want to support our players, man. And I think that is how we build continuity within our community, like within a synergy between front office, players, and fans. Everyone to work together, get him paid. That's it. Get BA paid so we can win a ring. Get BA paid so we can win a ring. Put it to bed. I don't want to see any, you know, draft wide receiver in the first round propaganda. I don't want to see another propaganda. Put the propaganda away. Don't make me pull out the tinfoil hat. Tired of the propaganda. But you know the vibes. We assume he was at. It looked like BA was. I don't think we've had any confirmation one way or the other, but he did post this day one type vibes. Literally looks like, you know, a kid getting ready to go off to the first day of school. You got the bag, you got the gallon of water, car keys. Looks like he's got a shake in a Benihana cup. Shout out Benihana. Um, Looks like the son is like, man, daddy, don't go. Stay home. Hang out with me. Let's play some video games. Don't go. uh, but hey, man, I believe BA is the kind of guy who will hold in. You've heard of hold outs and you've heard of hold ins. BA is like the type of guy who, yeah, he might do his thing. You know, BA is the kind of guy to me when he speaks, you listen. When he does something, you pay attention to it. BA has never struck me as again, the fact that he's getting tagged as a diva, I could be the furthest thing from the truth. Like, get that out of your head right now. Like, BA is not a diva. Just because he is using the leverage that he has and trying to use it in a way that helps him doesn't mean he's a diva. I think BA, when I think of BA, I think of a guy who he's only going to do certain things if he believes in it. If there's a reason for it. BA isn't out here just tweeting to tweet. He's not out here stirring the pot just to stir the pot. If anything, he's more of like an introvert that would just rather keep to himself, hang out with his family, hang out with his boys. Like, that's it. So, and go to work. The thing with him getting hit with the diva tag, I don't agree with. I understand why people are upset by maybe some of his perceived actions. But again, it's that whole thing, right? The whole synergy, pay BA, get him what he's worth. 49ers win a ring, have a better chance of winning a ring. Let's get it done. He's not a diva. He's doing what he's got to do. He's playing the game, and that's it. Don't hate the player, hate the game. That should be the motto of every single contract negotiation from here on out. Anytime anything happens with one of our players in a contract negotiation with the 49ers, just say, don't hate the player, hate the game. He's playing the game that's been put in front of him, and that's what he's got to do. Do I think D. Smith's extension will affect the BA deal? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because I already feel like we already knew what BA's worth was, and it was going to be beyond $25 million a year. To me, 25 is the floor, and I think Smith getting that deal is confirmation that that's the floor. That's really what it appears to be, in my opinion, because I've been it first started at 25 to 30 per year on average. And then I went 26 to 28. So for about the last week or so, I've been saying I have no idea. I could imagine that BA is angling for 26 to 28 million dollars per year, because keep in mind, as it currently stands, it is Tyreek Hill who has the highest YPA at 30 million per year. So I don't think, BA coming off a second team all pro would be thinking necessarily like he could have started there, but I would imagine realistically he'd come down. Again, the market is the market. And Tyreek Hill was 28 when he got paid. So he had already amassed, a bunch of years of production. And BA is just really coming into his own. Like, I think the arrow's still pointing up with BA. So I've been saying 26, 28 is how I've been kind of rationalizing it. So Devontae Smith only to me solidifies my thought process. It only solidifies that my aim has been accurate. I do think 25 is the floor, like the floor. Like he's not, and now that solidifies that is the floor. Like, so, but it almost solidifies that 26 is the floor and maybe 28, 29 is the sweet spot, because I think we can all imagine. Um, I would imagine he wants over 30 as well. But again, it's the song and dance, right? What do the 49ers want to pay? Debo's getting 23. I think if you were able to get Aiyuk 26 to 28, that would be an ideal realm for the 49ers to save a little bit and not go beyond 30, and for BA to still get, I think that would have him five top 5 in pay. So yeah, dude, I'm having a hell of a time with the Wi-Fi today. I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi. It really wants to go back to the McDonald's Wi-Fi days. And that's fine. That is fine. So again, like I said, I'm thinking 26, 28. That's really where I'm feeling it. Jesse says, Brad, congrats on the Brock interview. Super cool, bro. I appreciate it, man. Dude, that was really cool situation. I wasn't really expecting a whole lot in that regard. I was already kind of just vibing. Just being able to kind of shadow get shots, which is really ultimately what I wanted to do. But I got to shout out my guy Peter. He didn't have to. He really didn't have to. But he brought Brock over to me, said, Brad, here's Brock. Got a couple minutes, ask some questions. I said, all right, it's showtime. And so I started firing off some questions at Brock. Again, wasn't really expecting that. So I got to shout out my guy Peter with the 49ers. That was super cool. Like, again, I was more there to just get shots, stuff like that. So for him to do that for me, that was really cool. Really, really cool. So shout out Peter, man. That was dope. And again, like I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't at all. And it's Brock, man. That's the man right there. So that was pretty dope. It really was. I saw another question that we wanted to talk about tonight. Where did it go? George says, I hope they pick Roger Rabbit Garden. All right. I asked this question earlier. Buy or sell at the 49ers drafting Roger Rabbit Garden, number 31 overall. I'm curious to know what you guys think. um, so as you guys know, I've already watched. I watched like Washington O line was the first, second. Graham Barton was the first. Graham Barton was first. Troy Fautanu was second. And I remember I told you guys how I landed on watching both Graham Barton and Troy Fautanu. It was I was at the combine sitting in the stands and I was just I was looking at the guys. They're like a herd of cattle all getting warmed up to run their 40. And so I'm it's a process that I started with Abe Lucas. I'm just scouting body type. Pause. And I'm just looking to see like who looks the most athletic, who looks the part. And so I'm scanning, and I'm like, there's Troy. And I was like, he looks the part. And I popped on the tape, and I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, this dude's about to kill the combine with his movement. You could see on tape his movement ability, how elite it was. And I was like, yeah, this dude's about to destroy the combine, which is exactly what he went on to do. But that's where my draft crush for Troy Fautanu started. But because of that, that also meant I wanted to watch Roger as well. And Justin, to Justin's credit, has been on Roger for a while now. He was one of the first guys talking about him. And I said, let me check him out. He's like, I want your opinion on him. And I was like, let's go. Let's watch Roger. Now, you're going to be wowed with Rodgers testing and measurables right off the rip. If you're a 49er fan, you're going to love hearing that he trains with Joe Staley. You're going to love that he was coached by Christian McCaffrey's dad in high school. You're going to love that he was the number 2 overall prospect coming out of Colorado. You're going to love all that. But I would love the tape to match. For me, tape is the most important. I'm always going to watch the tape and then use the other measurables and variables to do pros and cons. Because if I don't see it on tape, then that's great that you run really fast. That's great that you're really tall. That's great that your arms are super, super long. But if it doesn't show up on tape, then I don't care. And so for me, watching Roger, he does some things well. He shows the ability to be a good run blocker, to be a good pass blocker. He shows the ability. My concerns came with consistency. And for me, the greatest measure of determining greatness within a player is how consistently they can play. And it's great if you can do this one thing really cool every 10 reps. But if you're falling off blocks, if you're not staying consistent with how you're driving your base, like that all matters. Hand placement. If those things aren't showing up consistently on tape and you're kind of all over the place, then I'm like, I'm going to note that. So with Roger, if anything, I saw a guy who was like a third round guy. And again, I watched 3 games of his. And there's always one of them was the Michigan. I heard that that was one of his worst games, so I have to take that into account. I don't have the time to watch every career game of Roger Rosengarten. I can pick 3 to 4 and I can watch. And from what I saw is you see glimpses, but you also see the lack of consistency. So for me, that is a project type player. Now, that is a great project because he has the size, he has the speed, he has the movement ability, and he shows signs of some technical and advancement as an offensive lineman. But that to me is a project. Like I and already if you're taking a Jordan Morgan, a Kingsley Suamataia, if you're taking like a Tyler Guyton, they're already kind of projects. They're already kind of projects. And but so far I've seen more. I would say Kingsley has some of the consistency issues as Roger. I would say those guys have some of the consistency things that show up on tape. I would say Jordan Morgan has more consistency, but he doesn't have as much elite. He wouldn't doesn't have as much physical upside as maybe Kingsley or even Roger potentially. So that's the battle. That is the battle. Is you're trying to determine who's a project and who can sure up the inconsistencies shown on tape to become a consistently good player, or who's just going to be a guy. I would say the comp for consistency right now so that you guys can wrap your head around it is like Spencer Burford. Spencer Burford has first round body type. He has first round speed. He has first round strength. He has the measurables, the arm length, everything that you want, but he's inconsistent. And those inconsistencies on the O line wreck everything else for everyone. And that's why, as an offensive lineman, being consistent is so important. I had to learn the hard way as a player that being consistent was the most important thing, not getting the pancake, not, pulling around and going, through the hole and decleating a linebacker. Like it looks great on tape, but what is the most the thing that means the most is knowing your assignment, knowing what technique to use in any individual situation. So, if you have an overload to the right side, you should be stepping out to the right, not stepping to the left, creating it. You get the point. So, Spencer Burford, for example, has a ton of upside. That's the hard part with Spencer right now. And I guarantee you that's what the 49ers saw with Spencer right out the gate. It's like, oh, this guy has all the upside in the world to be a starter, but he wasn't ready. So they thought, like, let's platoon him with run skill, and they can rotate, which I had never seen in the NFL. But I understand the process is they had a guy who they believed is that if it clicked and he could take those inconsistencies and make him consistent, that he would be a really good offensive lineman. And that still exists with Burford. But that's what you're getting with Rosengarten is you you have to know that you're drafting a guy who shows some inconsistencies on tape. Now, with his inconsistencies, I think it's less about assignment and it's more so just he falls off blocks. That was one of the things that stood out to me. Is he just falls off blocks. Guys get by him, can really get by him sometimes, and he tries to go and engage. Um, he finds him. I noticed that guys were able to slip off his blocks relatively easy, and that was one of the things that stood out to me. But that doesn't mean he's a bad player. I also want to make that abundantly clear. I also want to make it clear that that doesn't mean he can't improve. That doesn't mean he can't get better. But what that scares me from is taking him at 31. Taking him at 31 to me would be a big mistake. And that is also in line with the same things that I've said about Jordan and Kingsley. I like Jordan Morgan. I like Kingsley Suamataia, but I'm not convinced that they are ready-made products. I am in the boat that like it could go either way. They could show up in OTAs and training camp and be ready to go. There's also a world that exists where they show up to OTAs and training camp and they are not ready to go. And I don't want that type of player at 31. Now, I also recognize that might be wishful thinking on my part just because of, you're picking at 31. And it's this kind of the tone I've had all season about me being the offensive line guy and me being like, I don't know if they should go offensive line at 31 because I want impact. I want this. I want plug and play. That's what I want. And if that means you got to trade up, then go and trade up. If you need to trade back, then trade back. But I want someone who is ready to go right now. And I don't know if that is Roger. I think it could be. I think he could show up to camp and maybe be like, oh, it was better than we were expecting. Let's go. But remember, the 49ers also took Aaron Banks in the second round, right? He, based on what we saw in training camp, ain't no way that rookie Aaron Banks was beating out Laken Tomlinson. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at here. It's like, I understand drafting a guy to put him behind and build for the future. That makes a ton of sense to me. But for me personally, at 31, I want plug and play because of the sense of urgency to win a Super Bowl right now. This is probably going to be the largest sense of urgency of winning a Super Bowl that we may ever see. This year, this upcoming season, the urgency to win a ring is at an all-time high, and it may never be higher than what it will be this year. And because of that, the 49ers have to balance win now, development. So for win now, I need someone at 31 who's ready to win now. So for me, I'm out on Roger Rosengarten at 31. You want to convince me at 63? You can convince me at 63. But at 31, I am personally out. Just based on what I've watched, based on what I've seen, doesn't mean he can't be good, doesn't mean he can't be a starter, doesn't mean he can completely shatter my expectations. But for me, I'm not loving the idea of Roger Rosengarten at 31. Now, Can we do a little bit of a uh conspiracy theory? Are you guys okay? Just indulge me with a little conspiracy. I'm all for football conspiracies. It just helps us take away from the real stuff that's going on in the world where we can just spin on some football conspiracies. This is my conspiracy around this photo right here. And for the conspiracy, I'm gonna put on the tinfoil hat. Tinfoil hat, just so you guys know how serious this is. I put on the tinfoil hat. Just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind before you start throwing darts at my neck. All right. We got John Lynch. We got Chris Forster. We got Roger Rosengarten. And we got a full blown private workout. Would it behoove the Niners to have the whole NFL world knowing that they were interested in Roger Rosengarten? Like, I feel just based on watching John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, how they move, they're very protective of the information. And I've said it many times. I would be the same way. I would be the same way. I would use any type of information to manipulate, to like like, look over here while we're doing this over here, because it's a competitive advantage for teams to not know who you're interested in, or conspiracy time, to know who you're interested in. And this whole thing, if it was just John Lynch visiting Washington, wouldn't even cross my mind that I would even believe that he was just there to visit his son Jake, who is on the coaching staff for Washington now, and just kind of hanging out, vibing, seeing how the whole operation's going. That would literally be my first thought process. If it was just John Lynch, I would have been like, yeah, he's checking out, seeing what Jake's cooking up at Washington. Okay, but then you got Chris Forster, offensive line coach. I don't think I've ever seen a photo of him outside of the 49ers. I don't think I've seen it. We've been doing draft coverage for a long time. Long time. I've never seen that. I've never seen this image. And I'm just like, again, conspiracy time, tinfoil hat thoughts. What if they wanted us to know? Because what is everyone talking about? Everyone's talking about, 49ers Roger Rosen. Now we're actually talking about Roger Rosengarten at 31 because of this. If we didn't see this photo, if we didn't know they were doing a private workout, if we didn't know John Lynch was at Washington, not a single person would be talking about Roger Rosengarten at 31. And then you're like, well, Mel Kiper mocked him at 31. Well, we found out from Jason Aponte that that's what he was hearing. Who would tell a guy like Mel Kiper what your draft plans were or who you were interested in the draft? So he could go on ESPN and broadcast it to the world. Keep your tinfoil hats on, guys. Keep your tinfoil hats on, guys. So you see the layers? You see the layers that we're cooking with? So now everyone fundamentally believes that the 49ers are absolutely interested in Roger Rosengarten, and they absolutely could be. Just point blank, absolutely could be. But the tinfoil hat has a different thought. The tinfoil hat is maybe like, well, if everyone believes that the 49ers are going to potentially take Roger Rosengarten, could this mean what I think it means? Welcome to my brain. And then this is also my brain. Because I want Troy Fautanu, also almost guarantees the 49ers are not drafting Troy Fautanu. Like, it is very rare that they go after my guys. Now, the last time the 49ers drafted my favorite prospect of the particular class was George Kittle. That happened to turn out pretty well. And when I said George was my number one favorite draft crush in 2017. Now, Troy Fautanu is my number one draft crush this year. Do they go back to the ginger beard well and be like, well, whose favorite draft crush is a blocking tight end out of Iowa? Who does that? Me. I do that. They took him. Success. George Kittle is arguably one of the best draft picks of all time. So, could we swing? Could we send some smoke towards Roger? May very well have interest in Roger, definitely. But could this be Troy Fautanu smoke? God, I hope so. But it's not. It could be, but probably not. But I just love sharing with how my brain works with you guys, just so you can understand some of my insanity. When it comes to how I rationalize things. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. SD says, you never know, Brad. He's enticing, and Kyle loves versatile players, and that's what Fautanu is, as him and Barton are the only versatile offensive line in the first round. They are definitely the most versatile. They are definitely the most versatile. He said, Brad flexing the silver plaque. It's prime time. Hey, don't forget. We gotta flex the media award too. Don't forget. Oh. But anyways. Yes. I love football conspiracy. I love football draft season conspiracy. It's so much fun. And I was completely wrong with the Justin Fields draft day conspiracy. They got me. They hooked me. They hooked me with that image of Justin Fields smiling, standing next to Kyle Shanahan smiling. I was like, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. Found out Justin wasn't even in consideration. It was Mac Jones or Trey Lance. No Fields. I don't know. So we'll see. I could be completely wrong, which I have been many times. But we'll see how it plays out, man. We'll see what happens. Gosh, I would love Troy Faltanu. Woo! I don't think anything would make me happier on draft day is to see this is the thing. I don't think Troy Faltanu is going to slide. I think if a team was smart, they would take Troy Faltanu in the top 10. He is officially my third overall offensive line prospect, but I have not scouted Fashanu or Alt yet. I have a gut feeling that Alt will remain offensive tackle 1 just due to his size and his movement ability. But I kind of think that maybe Faltano could be number 2. So we'll see. We'll see. I got some work to do. On that. But hey man, we'll see. We'll see all the misdirection stuff, see how it plays out. And what the 49ers do. But all today, right? I think it was today that I think Mayoko talked about a wide receiver in the first round today. I also believe Matt Barrows talked about a potential 49ers wide receiver in the first round. Again, throw your draft season tinfoil hats on, baby. But we'll see. We'll see. But I think this is going to make for very interesting, very, very interesting draft. Because I do think the 49ers will have some aggressive nature to them. I believe that John is going to get on those phones and he's going to make some calls. And if a guy that they like starts to slide, then I could definitely see it. He figured it out. So, at minimum, we're going to be entertained. I would say that. SD says first round wide receiver talk is smoke screen. In my opinion, they are saying this to get someone to jump up ahead of them to grab a wide receiver. If they can't trade up and get the guy they want, someone else they like slips. Hey man, Hey man, I've been accused of ingesting too much smoke when it comes to smoke season. But I don't know, man. I seemingly seem to see through the smoke pretty well. Mock draft? Yeah, we could do some mock drafts. I should have another mock draft this week. Um also, I got draft content coming tomorrow on Bleacher Report. Let me double check. What are we doing on Bleacher Report tomorrow? So if you guys are around at noon, I believe, yeah, noon, we're going over sleepers. Ooh, this is where I thrive. Tomorrow at noon, we are going over draft sleepers on Bleacher Report, and you guys know I love my sleepers. So if you guys want to pop over on to the Bleacher Report app at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're going to cover sleepers for the draft. So that will be, like I said, on the app Bleacher Report. Be there, be square. Um, can we get Kyle Shanahan on the show? I would love for Kyle Shanahan to come on the show. I don't know. I know Kyle watches the show. I don't know if Kyle would come on the show. I don't know. I would love to. I would love to talk with Coach and just vibe. Like, not even be serious. Like, I don't even want to talk serious stuff with Coach. I just want to vibe with Coach. Like, we'll throw on some Lil Wayne. We'll throw on the Carter 3. We'll start vibing like a milli, like we'll do it all. Like, just vibe. Like, let's just hang out. We'll talk some ball. I'm not gonna throw any like crazy gotcha journalism questions at you. Just come on, vibe with the people. Let's talk some Wayne. Let's talk vibe. Just vibe. What's coach like? Is it football 24/7? Yeah, it's probably football 24/7. But I love that. I love that. I love that. Coaches ball all the time. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. But shout out to everyone. How much do I think we'll need to give up to get the monster linemen we need for the future? I think you'd have to give, if you're going to move up into the first, I think you got to give up a second next year if you're moving into the 15. Um, and I think you got to move up into the 15s. You got to give up a second. I think you got to minimum give up your third this year, plus maybe a fourth or a fifth, to even have a conversation to move up. Uh, but I'm all for it, man. If you can get one of these blue chip guys, like remember the concept at play. There is no year that will have the sense of urgency to win now than this year. So if there is a guy who you feel like in this draft in the top 15 can help you win now, I am willing to sell a little bit of the future to go up and get a guy. We know the 49ers are going to get more comp picks next year. Um, I'm willing. I'm willing. I'm willing to be aggressive. I'm willing. Like, if I have a chance at Fautanu, I am doing it. I'm not thinking twice about it. And we'll just see where he fits. We'll just see where he fits. Could be right tackle, could be center, could be guard, could be wherever. We'll just see where he fits. But he's ready to go. He is ready to go. Uh Kyle should offer me a job. Yeah, totally. Um I would love to be a hit me up with the offensive line. Is there like an offensive line quality control coach where you're quality control, but you just do offensive line? Like I would vibe with that. I think I could fit in with Chris Forrester. You know, I think Forrester would be able to teach me a lot of stuff that I don't know. Um, yeah, let's go, Chris. Let's run it. Let's get these boys in tip top shape, baby. Let's go. Let's do some O-line stuff. That's it. That would be the only way that I would coach. I would not survive anywhere else. Kyle's like, "Congratulations, Brad. You're going to be a defensive quality control coach." I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm screwed." It's like, "No, just somehow designate me." I could do tight ends, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to disrespect either any of these coaches that have been out here doing this for years to get to be a quality control coach in the NFL just because some YouTuber thinks he could do it. Hey, but I think I know a line. I think I know what goes into being able to develop offensive line. Um, that was my whole thing. Offensive line development. I would say like one of my specialties is offensive line development. I thrive off it. I thrive. That's why I like to identify guys who are ready and guys who are not ready. Like I'm very big on O line development because I was a big developmental project and I knew what it took to take me from to not bad, not bad. Oh, I could definitely scout. I could. I know I could do that for a fact. They would hate me as a scout. Oh, they would hate me because I would get real bullish on my prospects, and they'd be like, "Dude, shut up, man! How many times?" They'd be like, "How many times?" And the best part about the scouting thing is I've realized I'm even better when I get the access to the players. When I could talk to the guys, like I can pick up on the vibes. I talk about it all the time. I scout on vibes. People are like, "What does that mean?" I can't explain it, but I scout on vibes as a part of the process. But I've realized that being able to go to the scouting combine, talk to these guys, get a glimpse into kind of who they are, you can sense and pick up certain personality traits on some guys, and you could be like, "Ooh, that guy loves football." Eh, I can sense that guy's just he's going through the motions. He's just kind of playing the role. You can sense like who's really about that life and who's chasing a check. And I think that's very important. Very, very important. I think I could do that for sure. Getting comp picks for Brad. Yeah, right. Ugh. Joshua says, I don't know how you do it, Brad. I had to stop investing in the draft because I get too mad at them not drafting the players I want. Well, thankfully, I take a lot of like my knowledge, and you guys know I'm big into dynasty fantasy football. So I build my own teams. Like I don't need anything, you guys know what the vibes are. I build my own teams. I literally just got done with the startup draft. And so I use that knowledge to build my own rosters and all of those different types of things. I told you guys, like when I was a player, I was playing, watching, knowing I wanted to evaluate football. So having that mindset as a player, I was paying attention to things that most players don't pay attention to. And so I totally believe that that stuff has helped me be able to identify certain things in players. Also, my experience as a player, like I said, I was a developmental guy. I was not a all state, all the like I was actually not very good, and I had to make myself good, and I know what went into that. And it kind of really like triggered something inside of me of being able to identify who can do that, who can develop George Kittle in 2017, who can develop into quality players. I think there's something that you have to be able to do that. And if you can identify it, then that's where you can take shots on guys. Um, what's the ultimate dream job? Working as an exec in the front office, being responsible for scouting free agency, or being in the coaching staff? Ooh. I feel like there's a lot of pressure in both of those jobs. Honestly, if I could just float around the team and capture content, I think that might be my dream job. I'm close. Yeah, like Sunday was really close to that. Like just floating. Just just floating and capturing content. I was having a blast because I can kind of do my own thing and I just capture organic moments. And that's really fun for me. But if I had to pick between these two, I would probably say being a scout. Or I don't know if being a scout because what I've heard about scouting is it's very difficult, very demanding, a lot of time on the road. Obviously, I have a family, so that's been the biggest challenges that I've heard. But if I could somehow just evaluate talent, like if that was my job to just watch tape and evaluate players and put together scouting reports, um, maybe not travel so much, but that was like my thought process as a player. Like I was like, I want to do that. I want to evaluate talent. I feel like I knew as a player that I could evaluate talent, that I could identify who's good and who's not good. I felt like that was something that I picked up on as a player, and then I even leaned into it more as a player, and I knew that's what I wanted to do when I was done playing. And so that's why I've been scouting since, but obviously from afar, like before I used to have to watch like YouTube, and it was like so hard to find tape. So hard to find anything. I used to have to scout off broadcast. Um, but again, I'm of the belief is you can evaluate anything. You just have to be able to assign the proper context to it. And so I think I legitimately have a true talent of being able to identify talent. I think that's why when you look at what I've built on social media, like that isn't by accident. It's because I know how to identify things. I know how to identify good content. I know how to evaluate. I know how to evolve all those things, the same concepts that go into evaluating players, you can evaluate into anything. I can evaluate content creators. I can pick and choose and tell you which content creators are going to have a high high level of success. You want to know my favorite content creator story? All right, here's my favorite content creator evaluation story. Um I had no idea who Jordan Elliott was. Not a single clue other than I seen him posting memes talking about Mitchell Trubisky and like just random things on the timeline. That's all I knew of Jordan Elliott. He was doing a draft show with someone, and there's maybe 5 people watching. I'm like, oh, I decided to watch it. And after watching him talk and break down draft prospects and just talk about his knowledge of the game, I'm like, that guy is going places. I called him GM Jordan when we first started, and then I reached out. We started doing lives, stuff like that. But I called him GM Jordan, and that was in 2021, I believe. And that guy, Jordan Elliott, he is now a digital producer at NBC Sports Bay Area. Bro made it from 5 viewers on a show that no one was listening to, and he's now at NBC Sports Bay Area, and that's not his last stop. He eventually Jordan Elliott will eventually be able to pick and choose whatever he wants to do in the sports world. I truly believe it. If he wanted to be a GM one day, he damn near might be able to do it. But again, when I'm talking about evaluating, popped into a show, never watched him before, never seen him, nothing. And I knew by the end of it that this dude had the quality, had the it, right? The thing that you see in people where you're like, yep, you have that ability to be successful. So the point is like Jordan did all that work on his own. You have to be able to put in the work. You can't just have the talent. You have to put in the work, and Jordan did. Jordan is a grinder, and he grinded his way to NBC Sports in I think 3 years. Jordan was with me and Jason Aponte in the stands at 49ers training camp, and it was just us, 3 content creators covering training camp every single day from the stands. And when we go to training camp this year, every 49ers content creator that you can think of is going to be in those stands doing what Jordan and Jason and I started together. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But the point is I think evaluation is a talent. and I know I got it. I'm not a cocky person, but I know I can do that. I know I can evaluate talent in multiple aspects, whether it's football, content creation, trends. Again, part of the reason why I've had so much success building out this platform on social media is I can identify trends early. I can identify things where they are going. So, just saying. Just saying. He said, Brad, it's hella motivational. No cap. I appreciate it. He says, great answer. Fully agree. That's why I watch your Niner videos. Hey man, like I'm never gonna be the guy who's hot take, throwing out things like I give like if I'm speaking on something that's hot takey, I at least give you a full explanation of how I landed there. I don't just say it and walk away. So that's just my vibe. That's how I go. Might not translate into the most views, most clicks, all that type of stuff. Um, but that's fine. That's fine. When am I going to be able to get a field pass? I have no idea. No idea. Um, uh, that's just something that's out of my hands. You know what I mean? Um, I would love it. I would love to be able to cover the 49ers officially, I guess. Um, but that's just out of my hands. Um, all I can really do is work and grind. And um I think that will have to be something that'll have to be a decision that the 49ers make. Until then, I'm just really trying to stay doing what I'm doing. Just keep just keep working, keep grinding, keep doing content. I mean, thankfully, due to where we are at in the current state of media, I know that I have a strong footing in what I'm currently doing. And yes, a media pass would make my life exponentially easier in the sense of bringing more original content to you guys. That's what that would do. It would allow me to bring more original content, which is my goal. You know, it's been my goal from the jump, but not having access doesn't how do you create the type of content stream that I push out without original content? You can't. It's impossible. Um Without the access, it's very difficult. But through continued work and just grinding, hopefully one day that will come. But honestly, if it doesn't come, and because of was it 2024, um if the media pass never comes, I'm gonna be all right. And that's been a process, to be honest, because I thought I was actually going to be able to get credentialed a lot sooner. And then I realized some of the struggles that I'm up against, and I understand why. I get why I haven't received it yet, and I'm fine with that. But I think part of it is if it I think I've become comfortable in the fact that I can still do what I am doing without it. Now, would having a credential make life easier in bringing you guys content? of course. Bringing you guys straight to the source, being able to ask questions, being able to get my own video, of course, that would be able to make me present to you guys with what I would believe is some of the best content, because me sharing content is typically a function of not having access. So if given the access, there's I don't need to share unless a colleague gets something great and I want to share it with everyone, because that's also a part of what we do here. But for the most part, it would, the vibes. So this is in a long way of saying, if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, I have I believe that it's made me better at what I do. It's made me fight. It's made me challenge myself. It's made me reinvent myself. And so, to be honest, like, yes, being having a media credential to be able to cover the 49ers would be able to present a different level of coverage for you guys. But I also recognize having to work around that and having to fight and scrap and claw and do everything that I've done, going back channels, networking, building out connections that I had zero to start this with. I'll be all right. I'll be all right. So if it happens, great. If it doesn't, we still vibing. So you know, if I've made it this far without a credential, I'll be it'll I think it will always be a point of motivation. I'll say it like that. It'll be a point of motivation. I'll always be trying. I'll always be grinding. When it comes, if it comes, great. I'll be very happy. If it doesn't, I'll still be happy, because I'm very proud of what we built. I'm very proud of our community. I'm very proud of the things that, you know, I couldn't accomplish without you guys. So I'll be all right. But shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to you guys. Because, we're nothing's stopping us from producing 49ers content. And I think you've seen that. And I think you've also noticed that the more access I get, the higher quality content I can provide. But doesn't matter. We vibe either way, and we're gonna be doing this for a long time. So I'm excited about that. So shout out to everyone who tapped in today. Appreciate everyone as always for joining the conversation. And again, it's the off season, baby. We're drained every time. Every time we don't come away with our ultimate goal. But you know the vibes. We're always here. We're gonna keep on going. Um, appreciate all you guys. Y'all the best. You know the vibes. We out of here for now. Smash that like button. Grab a cookie on your way out. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Oh, Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report. Noon Pacific Standard Time. We're going over draft sleepers. And then we got another exciting project with Bleacher Report in the works. So stay tuned. Appreciate y'all. I'm out. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.